your life. You got this. Go chase it, live your life. Enlighten you. Let the light shine through. Enlighten you. Just see it through.
I'm Melissa Thrasher.
And I'm Lolita Cummings.
Welcome to Enlighten U, Eastern Michigan University's mental health podcast for students. Today's episode is something special. We are diving into a subject that will bring a smile to everyone's face. Dogs, but not just any dogs. We're talking about therapy support dogs and their incredible ability to enhance mental health and well-being.
You all get ready for the cuteness. Because as you know, dogs have a magical way of bringing joy, peace, and comfort into our lives. Today, we are thrilled to introduce you to Tinker, a new and very special member of the EMU community. Tinker is a professionally trained golden retriever who's now part of our campus family. We'll get to know Tinker and learn about the vital support she offers to students, faculty, and staff.
Joining us to help us learn about Tinker and her role on campus is Alexis Braun Marks, University Archivist and Library Department Head. We also have Dr. Aesha Mustafa, our resident mental health expert, a licensed clinical therapist, and an assistant professor in EMU's Department of Leadership and Counseling. Alexis, Tinker, and Aesha, welcome to Enlighten U. Welcome to the show, Alexis, Tinker, and Aesha.
All
We're so
right.
happy to have all
Thank
of
you
you
so
join us
much.
today. And we are so excited to learn more about Tinker and meet Tinker and get to know just what is your role on campus. And I'm glad you're looking at me. You know I'm talking about you, right? So can you talk about Tinker? I know she was certified from Pause for a Cause. So can you talk about her certification and her role on campus?
Yeah, so it sort of came out of this idea to provide something that was a little more constant than just a therapy dog during finals week. I know, I'm sorry. And so there were a few conversations, but Dean Fritz from College of Health and Human Services and I were connected with the idea of getting a facilities dog. And so a facilities dog, they're trained specifically to do this work all the time, right? So unlike personal pets that have maybe been trained to be a therapy dog, she has a little bit more expertise in terms of, you know, people pulling on her ears and petting her aggressively, and she doesn't shy away from those things. So the goal was to have her be an EMU employee, not any one person's pet. So we share her between College of Health and Human Services and the library.
Wow, that's nice. So what made you get excited to want to be a pet parent?
Sure.
To Tinker.
So we actually have really dear friends of ours who are handlers for a facility dog for Michigan Medicine. Mm-hmm. And so we had been exposed to facility dogs that were working, right? They went to work with them every day. Their purpose was to be there for not just the patients, but also the staff, which felt really important. That sort of started the idea of looking into facilities dogs rather than just bringing in individuals' personal therapy dogs.
Yeah. Thank you so much for bringing Tinker on,
Yeah,
Alexis.
absolutely.
We're all so excited today, right? We're just like giddy today. So thank you so much. As soon as she walked in the room, everyone was like, ooh and ah. Tell us a little bit about Tinker. So she's how old and what's she like at home? Tell us what she's like.
Yeah, I mean, at home, she's a total puppy, right? She loves to play. She loves, you know, playing with other dogs, playing with kids, going for walks. But as soon as she comes to campus and has her vest on, she knows she's working, right? And so she knows that her job is to stay close. Now, that doesn't mean that she doesn't go into our respective offices and check in with everybody, right? So she comes in, she checks in everybody's office space, and then comes and takes a nap, right? Or goes outside, right?
She's like living her best life. She's so
I know.
happy.
Like, this is what work is for.
Yes, this is work. And
good.
after this, she'll go home and take a 3-hour nap, right? She's a normal dog with the exception of she's exceptionally trained, right? Pause with a Cause does a lot of training before they place dogs with handlers. And so she was placed with us, and then we went through a series of training. Dean Fritz and I did. And then she had to pass, but more importantly, we had to pass the handler's exam, right? So there were certain tasks that she had to do before she could be certified to be a facilities dog. So that includes like walking through large groups of people and not getting distracted or trying to, oh, I'm so sorry, you lost your kerchief. Right, not barking at people, not jumping up on people, being able to have people come up from behind her without getting scared, having loads of people petting her and just sort of taking it, right? So the goal of a facilities dog, I think, is really, that's what they're here for, and they have the stamina to do this. Whereas a lot of personal therapy dogs may be trained, they have great temperaments for it, but they can do it for maybe 30 minutes or an hour, and then they're done, right? It's like the introverts who extrovert a little bit too long, and they're like, I gotta go home.
That's a really, that's me. I completely understand how that is. Yeah. So if a student is having a hard time and they need to find her, is there a way that they can do that, or is it just kind of happenstance if they're walking across campus and happen to see her?
Yeah, so if she's walking around campus, people should really feel free to come and say hello and pet her. I know the vest can be a little disarming, right? Because a lot of service animals who are trained for specific tasks, assigned to a specific individual, a lot of them can't be pet like this, right? But if she's on campus having a walk, please come and pet her. But our goal for each semester is to have set days and times where people can find her. So her days to be at Marshall in the College of Health and Human Services will be Mondays and Thursdays for the fall semester, and then in the library Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And while she's in the library, she'll have just drop-in hours, right? Almost like office hours, where people can come and find her on the first floor. That'll be from 11 until 1:30 every Tuesday and Wednesday. We're kind of still, I think, working through the details of what it looks like for her to come and visit a class or for her to come and visit a student group. But a lot of that, her social calendar is being kept through the dean's office at the College of Health and Human Services.
That is great.
Yeah, that's real nice. And I'm laughing because she's sitting right next to a resident therapist who loves animals. I was like, oh my God. All of us are dog owners, and she has a special dog of her own named Bailey. So can we talk about Bailey for a minute?
Of course. So Miss Bailey is 5 years old. Her birthday is April 27th. This year it was graduation, also the day I went to labor with my daughter, Audrey. And I was like, Audrey, this is Bailey's day. So Bailey is an emotional support animal. So I have a letter from my mental health therapist that states that she is for me, for comfort in my home. We can't go to Target. We can't go to Costco. She has training as in the normal training from the Humane Society, but there is no test she passed. And so there's been hard days for me where I just like love on her, and she's comforting. She just knows to pick up on that. With being pregnant, we put her little head on my belly and snuggle a lot more. And, I sleep in my baby's nursery, and she'll come in there and just lay with me in like the nook of the back of my leg, which is like the best. And, right now she's at home with her Gam, getting her chicken and her rice and getting spoiled, and just is such a calming presence. Like right now I feel so zen. Partially because I have therapy today, and also she's just like loving it. Yeah. And it's so great.
Yeah, she does bring a sense of calmness to everyone around the table, which I just adore. So, having a facility dog on campus, which we also call therapy dog too. Paws was sure to tell us that, that she's called a therapy dog as well.
Well, can we talk about those specific differences? Because they're nuanced, right?
Yeah.
But they're very different, and there are different legal restrictions
That is a good
and
segue.
allowances for them? So can we talk about that a little bit more? Because students, I'm sure, will want to know.
Yeah, so I think for Paws with a Cause, because they train service animals specifically for individuals that need assistance either with dressing or getting around, etc., that's a different level of training, right? And so those are dogs that can walk through a crowd, not be distracted by a squirrel. They are intent on that one individual, right? So that's sort of like the service animal. A facility dog is sort of like Tinker loves a squirrel, like really loves a squirrel and a rabbit. And so like she's not quite service level, but she has all of the traits that a service animal would have, right? And so she's allowed to go into different facilities. If she has her vest on, we can go into different buildings on campus. We can go into different facilities like a public school or a library because she has passed her training. And then there's the space of therapy dogs, right? So like an individual's pet, like Bailey, could be trained, pass a series of tests to be certified as a therapy dog. And we have a lot of faculty on campus that have their own therapy dogs where they've brought them to campus during finals week, or they have drop-in hours sort of thing. And then there's the emotional support animals. There are policies and procedures for all of those about, you know, what buildings they have access to, how they can come on campus, how they can interact with people, etc. So
It's a lot of different
I
distinctions. So if
know.
a
It is.
student wanted to have one of those, you know, depending on whatever their needs were, how do they go about it? I'm assuming that there's some university policy that they have to follow.
there is a university board policy, and I believe that most of that is handled through the Disability Resource Center in conjunction. So if they're a resident on campus, living in campus housing, there's a way for them to sort of enroll their emotional support animal to be on campus in their room. And there are parameters around what constitutes like a...
So I couldn't have an ostrich?
I don't believe so. Although it does say for facilities dogs, they can be dogs or miniature horses.
I was just going to say, I read that too,
Yes.
miniature horses. So you know, in terms of what facility dogs can bring to the student body, and this question both of you can answer, but from our therapists first, can we start with you? What can Tinker, do to help uplift our student body and improve an overall well-being and mental health and,
Yeah, so I'm like half present because Tinker is so calming, where I'm like, oh, this is so nice. Now like I don't have my own doggy at home that's going to be very jealous when I get home. So part of it is when people see dogs that are, and they like dogs, so therapy dogs, it's kind of like, oh, I want to see that. Like there's an uplifted mood. And then with Tinker, what's great about her training is that you can approach her kind of quickly. So a lot of times with, I call them like civilian dogs, people will be like, oh my God. And like my dog's going to jump back or startle. And then it's like this hyper arousal for both parties, where Tinker has been trained to have kids grabbing on or pulling ears. So that's a lot of things when you try to adopt a dog and it says no kids under 5 or 10, it's because kids pull ears and tails, and that could be an unsafe situation for both parties. And so another thing that's helpful for folks who have therapy dogs, emotional support animals, is that when I write letters for my clients to get such support, is having to take care of something. Bailey, Tinker, they don't care about daylight savings time. They don't care that the sun, whatever is happening, like you're going to be getting up and having something to take care of and a presence. Bailey is always happy to see me. When I went into labor, my mom wasn't in town yet, so we took the last photo on the couch at 11 p.m. the three of us. And I was like, okay, we gotta go. Because it was our last photo of the three of us, because it's just something, while I was in labor, it's like, you gotta go check on the dog, because like labor wasn't progressing enough, because there's something that looking forward to that bond and that special thing. And like, what are we going to do this weekend to make her life better? And so that could be really helpful for folks dealing with anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
I have a similar photograph in labor with my first and my dog on the bed with me.
Oh my gosh, that is so
That's
special.
yeah,
That is
that's
so sweet.
symbolic.
That is so
Yeah,
sweet.
definitely.
You bring up a good point though, because it's not just that the therapy dog is taking care of you, but you also have to take care of the therapy dog, right? You have to be responsible and committed to that process.
Yeah.
So what would you say to students who are considering that? And then also another question, like if a student sees Tinker on campus, is there something that they shouldn't do? Or, I mean, is there that might startle Tinker? Or like if the student has never had a pet before, are there any kind of rules?
No, although I think it's just good practice, right, to ask, to approach any dog. But I guess I'd like to encourage our students to, if they see her and they light up, to ask, right? Because this is her job, is to get love and pets and help bring everybody's blood pressure down a little bit, right? So I've seen lots of people on campus sort of like eye her and like light up, and I have to be like, do you want to pet her? You can pet her, right? And so I think for the most part, she's so mild-mannered that a quick approach, things like that, although we have noticed in the library, she does not like library carts.
Oh,
So
moving
we're going to,
objects.
yes,
Yeah,
it's that,
it's a
right?
thing.
Which is, again, why she's not eligible to be a service dog, right? Because a service dog would have to be able to be totally calm and comfortable with all of that. So
you're familiar with that. You said moving objects right
Yeah,
away.
Bailey is afraid of plastic trash bags.
God.
A little, I mean,
what about trash cans?
yeah,
Braxton hates my trash can and the garage door.
Yeah, just like the moving objects.
Yeah.
Even like if a light rattle, if I'm turning off a rattle, she's like, oh my God. I mean, fireworks. I mean, that's a thing.
So does that mean don't come running up to Tinker? Just maybe approach a little more slowly, more
running up.
cautiously? Okay.
yeah, I mean, and we just try not to shelve books with her, you know, keep her out of those environments, as it were.
Yeah, like you said, the good approach is like, hey, can I pet Tinker? You know, I never ask the human's name. It's just like, I'm going to go towards the dog. And with Tinker, maybe that's not the same thing, but with different animals, like putting your hand down and letting them come to you. Because a lot of times with the civilian dogs, it's like, I want to reach out. And that's scary for them. Some kid has recently yanked their ear, and just recognizing that, you know, consent is still great for them too.
Yes.
Now, does Tinker, my dog prefers to be pat underneath instead of on top of his head. Does Tinker have a preference? Is there a spot on her that she...
This is any position is great for me kind of dog. The belly rub, the back rub, the under ear, the under chin. As long as you are petting her,
Does she
is
get
happy.
a position for you to rub her belly?
Oh, she has no shame. None whatsoever.
that.
So yeah,
She's
she
so
will just, when she's totally blissed out, she'll like roll on her back so you can rub her tummy. And yeah.
Well, obviously the connection is there. We can see the bond between the two of you. Can you talk about like the bond between you and Tinker? And also, can you talk about your hope? What is your hope for Tinker on ENU's campus?
I mean, I think what's really interesting, and I've never had a pet sort of in this situation where I'm essentially co-parenting a pet with Dean Fritz, right? And so it's been really interesting to talk about our expectations when she's on campus. How is she going to be managed in Marshall versus in Holly? I mean, not that they're so dramatically different, but then also talking about, well, what happens if I'm in a meeting and she's supposed to have office hours? Who are the people that we've identified as safe secondary building handlers, right? Yeah. But she's so sweet. It's really hard not to love and bond with her. And I think all of our families, you know, Jenny was saying to me this morning that her daughter was like, I'm not going to see her for a whole week. And my kids are going, we haven't seen her for a whole week. When is she coming back? Right? So they're all bonded to her also. I think ultimately my hope, and we see this so much in the library because we have students coming from all over campus, right? That oftentimes they are overwhelmed regardless of where we are in the semester. It doesn't have to be finals week. It doesn't have to be midterms. It could be a Tuesday at 2 p.m., right? I know I appreciate having a therapist to talk to, and not all of our students are plugged into that. So this is like just a little bit of therapy for them to come. And so my hope is really that we can provide the students primarily, and then also I think our staff and faculty who also just need a deep breath and a little
Reset, recharge.
yeah, reset. Yeah. I think also the hope too is that, and this is something that I want to acknowledge, because I know we're all dog lovers at the table, but not everybody is. And so I'm very conscious about asking when I'm taking her into meetings if people are comfortable with that. I'm not just assuming, right, that there's some consent in there. I know. Are you so happy?
I knew it.
We did not give her the chick. She's like,
This is my chair where I'm sitting.
So I know that, a lot of our students suffer from anxiety and depression. Are there any other disorders that you think, if a student is suffering from that Tinker might be able to help with them with? And what are the expectations? I mean, obviously Tinker's not, a silver bullet that's going to, a magic wand, zippity bippity boo. But what can their expectations be when they have an interaction with her and how they're going to feel better?
Yeah, so something I want to pick up that you said is the kiddos in your life looking forward to when is she coming back. And so someday I'm like, oh my God, when can I get home and see my dog? Because it's been 90 minutes. And that's something that's really important. I was working with a client once that was experiencing suicidal ideation, and we had talked about as outpatient or is inpatient services an option for them. Like, I have my cats I want to take care of, and they bring me so much comfort. So even though they had family they trusted to take care of them, it's like, I need a different type of service. And so we talked about that. That's part of their self-care plan, is they want to be able to come home to their cats. And so an outpatient intensive program that was 5 days a week, 9 to 3, was a way better option for them. And so I think faculty, staff, therapists, etc., we need to understand the role that our fur animals can play in our lives. And they're not just like, I'm not a dog owner. I'm a dog parent. I have 2 kids. My Bailey is my oldest kid. She has a Mexican picked out. She will be going to my mother if something happens. I have friends who've left like 20 grand to their dog in case something happens. And they're like, because there are children, making sure that they don't end up needing to go into adoptive services if that's not the plan. And so recognizing like how that for someone can be something that saves their life, of how they make sure that their loved ones are taken care of.
That's a perfect segue into the next question on your plan to work with other educators and administrators on campus. How do you plan to work with them to bring them on board with, Tinker and having Tinker available?
Yeah, I mean, she is her best advertisement. I think when Dean Fritz and I talk about it, the hope is that she will be one of many eventually, right? Because I think there is a need all across campus for a dog like this. There has to be a lot of intentionality about it, ensuring that she has the right handlers in each situation. Again, we're sort of figuring all of those details out, and her social calendar is
getting
organized by the College of Health and Human Services Office of the Dean.
which is nice.
Yes.
Where did this idea come about? Because I know you and I, we've talked about Dr. Flowers and the things that he's doing to build compassion in the classrooms. Is this part of a bigger plan, or?
I don't know that there was a concerted effort of like, we're going to get a therapy or a service dog and facilities dog. It will do X, Y, Z. It will be the first, and in 6 months we'll add another and then another. I think it was really, there's a need.
Yep.
Let's see how this first one goes. Something similar has been done for the Brighton Public Schools, where they started with 1 facility dog, and they now have, I think, a dozen for their various schools. And so I think that's really the hope and plan.
Yeah, that's amazing. Tinker will have a family, right?
So as more schools and universities bring on therapy dogs, are there any emergent practices in psychology that, provide us with better uses for them, or what's going on in that space?
Another thing is equine therapy. So I've seen a lot of webinars of how to use that, where folks may go to facility and the petting of the horse, the riding, the taking care of something. Other things with these special, oh my God, those sleepy eyes. Like, I'm just like, oh. It's figuring out what they can serve in your life, because it's also another thing that's really hard is depending where you live. If it's on campus, if you're off campus, a lot of landlords may have rules around, even if it's like a civilian pet, they need to be a smaller animal. If there's pet fees, and sometimes, $600 a year.
Aisha, you stop petting her.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
She's like looking like, wait, where are her hands?
I'm sorry, Mama. And so something I believe, I don't know, I think Washtenaw County is if a therapist writes a letter as emotional support animal, or if it's a therapy dog or service animal, that they cannot charge a pet fee because they're providing comfort. But again, depending on the level of care, you can't bring your civilian pet into the lobby of the apartment building to hang out for 3 hours. And so that can be something, and working with a mental health professional and seeing if, the CAPS, the psychology clinic, if the counseling clinic provides such letters for care for folks.
Well, I know we're running short on time. And my last question before we open it up to see if you have any other last thoughts. So if someone wanted to request Tinker to come visit a class, how do they go about doing that? I know her social calendar is filling up, so
yes.
What should they do?
So the best thing to do, if you're interested in having her visit, is to contact the dean's office for the College of Health and Human Services. So they're going to manage individual class or student group visits. Otherwise, there are the drop-in hours at the library, and the goal for that is really for them to be consistent, so that, as you were saying, right, for students to know and to expect and to look forward to every Wednesday when I get out of class, I'm going to stop at the library and see Tinker before I sit down to study, right? So that we're providing some consistency in all of that.
I like that. Yeah.
And what I love about the library is can be like while we're studying, if it's finals, a normal Tuesday, is the comfort of, so you're pairing academic work with just like the release of all the happy.
Yep. So she will be with me Tuesdays and Wednesdays right in the atrium of the library. So when people come in, she'll be far enough away from the door so that those students who are disinterested in visiting her feel like they have enough pass through, right? That they're not, she's not in their face, but she'll be noticeable. So people will be able to come and find us pretty easily.
Yeah, and I'm sure her dance card will be full.
Yes.
Yes. All right. And other students who would like maybe to look into getting their own emotional support dog should contact the Disability Resource Center, right? Okay. Great.
Yeah. Well, any parting words?
Oh my gosh.
Other than you want to take her
I
home.
think we're going to just snuggle after this.
She just loves you.
I know. No, thank you so much for your interest in her. And we're really excited to have her be part of the EMU family. And I think that's the other piece that I want to remind people is she's not my dog. She's not Dean Fritz's dog. She's the university's dog, right? And so she's here as an additional staff member to be helping with the campus community. And so we want her to be used as she was intended. So,
Well, thank you so much for joining us and
You're
bringing
so
Tinker
welcome.
with us, right? You're right.
I'm not sure.
I think we all feel better just having her.
Yeah, and I want to make another plug is something like the Humane Society does is have kiddos who are struggling to read or want to practice reading. I'm sorry, Sweet Pea. Is read for 10 minutes to doggies. And so I don't know if Tinker would be interested, but like talking about your problems and just having this calming effect while you say things, not just petting, but like, hey, I'm nervous about that test. And then she's just going to be her. And you're like, oh my gosh.
I will say that's one thing. My kids will just sort of nuzzle up and be like, I had the worst day today. Can I tell you all about it? So, yes. But I can imagine, like, you know, that she goes over and has a visit to the Children's Institute and they read to her or whatever. So, yeah, there's lots of
love
ways
that
that she can be used.
Branded too and collecting things along the way.
She's got her library staff. We've got our pride button on the back. And so,
So precious.
Well,
She's the
thank you
best.
so much.
Thank you so
you
much
for
for
joining
having
us.
us.
That was a really fun show and a cute show.
Yes,
A cute show.
Tinker was so great.
She makes me want a retriever. I have a little dog, but she makes me want a big retriever.
Goldens are so fun.
They are. And I love how she provides support for everyone who needs it.
Yeah.
She's great.
She's going to be great for our campus community.
Absolutely.
Yep. Before we go, I like to share a quote that resonates with me. When you are deeply troubled, there are things you get from the silent, devoted companionship of a dog that you can get from no other source. This captures what therapy dogs like Tinker bring into our lives.
That is beautifully said, Melissa. We hope that with Tinker's presence on campus, it will bring you all joy, peace, and positivity that our students, faculty, and staff always need throughout the academic year. Thank you so much for tuning in. You all take care, be well, and be good.